I don't know if our next speaker, Yaman Akdeniz from Turkey, agrees on that, or if there's something else you want to bring up. Speak about new media. The floor is yours.
Well, let me tell you about new media, especially with regards to Turkey and what's going on in Turkey. First of all, the Internet, as the largest communication network in the world, is increasingly becoming indispensable for everyone around the world to take part in cultural, social and political discourse. In fact, in my view, the Internet is the linchpin of a democratic society, and social media platforms have become crucially important for participatory democracy. Unfortunately, traditional media, as we know, almost died a few weeks ago in Turkey, and the only media that people can obtain information on crucial matters of public interest, such as the Gezi Park and subsequent protests, is the new media and social media platforms. As you all know by now, rather than showing the live images of the protests, CNN Turk showed a very interesting documentary about penguins. In fact, the penguins have become the symbol of an anti-censorship movement in Turkey. As I will show you, don't worry, I'm not taking all my clothes off, only my shirt off, to show you a peaceful protesting penguin. Okay. We start anyway, so.
You sell them?
All right. We don't sell them yet. It's designed by a well-known cartoonist in Turkey, Selçuk Erdem, who regularly draws for a weekly satirical magazine called Penguin. So the penguins have become the symbol of an anti-censorship movement in Turkey and the beginning of a shift from traditional media to social media for a considerable number of Turkish people, without making any distinctions whether they support the government or they don't support the government. Everybody goes on Twitter. You can see since the protest started several new Twitter users coming to the social media platforms. You can see this evidently because there are, you know, when you're a new Twitter user, you see the eggs, and they haven't put profile pictures, and they don't have many followers. They haven't tweeted, but they're following people to know more about what's happening during the protests. With regards to the Gezi Park protests, it should not be forgotten that the European Court of Human Rights, in several cases, decided that freedom of assembly is a fundamental right in a democratic society, and like the right to freedom of expression, is one of the foundations of such a society. In fact, you cannot separate these two fundamentals rights from each other. In fact, they go hand to hand. But unfortunately, it was otherwise in Turkey. Going back to the Internet and social media related issues, which this panel is asked to comment on, contrary to the statement of the Turkish Prime Minister, social media is not a menace, but a sine qua non of democracy. In this new world, if there is no social media or Twitter, there shall not be, in fact, no democracy. Having said that, let me tell you about the Internet control regime in Turkey as an update to what I told the attendees in this room during the first Speak Up conference. Law 5651 was designed to block access to websites. And in fact, as Dünya Mijatovic and Yavuz Baydar earlier on mentioned, access to approximately 30,000 websites are currently being blocked from Turkey, all in the name of protection of children, disregarding adults' rights to access legal content. The law, in fact, has been challenged at the Turkish courts unsuccessfully by different people, and cases have been taken to Strasbourg for the review of the European Court of Human Rights. In December 2012, in a case called Ahmet Yildirim versus Turkey, with regards to the total blockage of Google sites as a platform was challenged, and the European Court found an infringement of Article 10 of the European Convention on Human Rights, and stated that this was a disproportionate ban, even though there was a legal basis for the blocking order. However, so far, no single government authority has commented on such a crucial case, nor took action to reform the censorship provisions of Law number 5651 or any other similar legal measures. In fact, it's complete silence on that front. I'm not even sure whether they are aware of the decision or not. But I have seen a translation in Turkish, so they should be aware of it. In Turkey, we not only have access blocking measures, but also filtering from internet cafes and homes for our safety, of course. Again, for the protection of children and this time families as well, as part of the broader paternalistic approach adopted by the government. Moreover, stage 3 we're now moving into, and during the last 12 months or so, we started to come across more and more bloggers and social media users being prosecuted. You probably heard about the pianist Fazıl Say for a retweet that he circulated, but there are others like Sevan Nişanyan, İbrahim Davutoğlu, Recep Okuyucu, and many others who have been prosecuted for sharing and distributing information on Twitter, on Facebook and other social media platforms. Unfortunately, I predict more of these prosecutions to take place. Now, with regards to Gezi protests, the government hinted that they might introduce further measures with regards to social media platforms. It's not clear in my mind what else what more they can do, but the dominant position which the government occupies makes it necessary for it to display restraint in resorting to criminal proceedings, particularly where other means are available for replying to the criticism it received. Democracy does not simply mean that the views of the majority must always prevail. A balance must be achieved which ensures the fair and proper treatment of minorities and avoids any abuse of a dominant position. Unfortunately, in times of crisis, governments should always avoid knee-jerk reaction to these kind of events. In fact, what we hear from the government is we're going to regulate the social media. Rather than reforming the police, we're going to give them more powers. I think this is completely wrong. In fact, we want the government to reform the internet law in compliance with the European Convention on Human Rights and not to introduce further restriction on internet communications and social media, whether in the form of new content-related restrictions or law enforcement measures which would intrude on the privacy of internet users, including the right to stay anonymous in Turkey. And that will conclude my speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was a very good picture of what is happening. And clear that social media play a crucial role in this situation in Turkey.